2 years had passed since Sarah Hart Montgomery made her loud entrance into the world. In the Hart house, time wasn't measured in years, but in the level of chaos that could be achieved before breakfast. Van Montgomery, now the self-proclaimed king of domestic efficiency, had discovered a new passion: social media. Using the same drone that had once violated neighborhood privacy, he started a vlog titled The Montgomery Minute. "Hey, what's up, Vanatics?" Van shouted into his GoPro, which was duct taped to the drone. "Today, we're testing the aerodynamic properties of Sarah's toddler-proof sippy cup. Can it survive a drop from 30 feet? Let's find out." "Van, if you drop that cup on my hibiscus, I'm going to use your drone as a target for skeet shooting," Reba called out from the porch. "Mrs. H, the fans want content. We're at 47 subscribers. One more, and I get a free trial of Pro Glow skin filter." Sarah, now a golden-haired whirlwind of energy, was chasing the drone across the yard. She had Reba's sharp eyes and Van's boundless and often misdirected enthusiasm. Cheyenne was watching from the window, laughing as she folded yet another mountain of laundry. "Van is obsessed with market penetration," Cheyenne said as Reba walked in. "He spent 3 hours yesterday analyzing the best time to post a video of himself eating a spicy pepper while holding a baby." "He's a moron, honey," Reba said, pouring herself a cup of coffee. "But he's our moron, and at least it keeps him out of the spice rack." Chapter 18. The Ghost of Boyfriends Past. The tranquility of the Montgomery Minute era was shattered on a Tuesday afternoon. Reba was hosting an open house for a charming Victorian in the Heights, the kind of house that smelled of lavender and potential. She was straightening the decorative pillows when the doorbell rang. She adjusted her blazer, put on her closest stare, and opened the door. Standing on the porch was a man who looked like he had stepped out of a Ralph Lauren catalog. He was tall, his hair was a distinguished silver at the temples, and his eyes were a piercing, familiar blue. "Brian?" Reba whispered, her professional mask slipping for a fraction of a second. "Reba Nell Hart," the man said, a slow, Texas-sized grin spreading across his face. "You haven't changed a bit." Brian McClintock. He was the one that got away before Brock Hart had even entered the picture. They had been high school sweethearts, a pair of firebrands who dreamed of leaving Houston and conquering the world. Brian had left to become a major developer in Austin. Reba had stayed, married Brock, and raised a family. "What are you doing here, Brian? Are you looking for a Victorian fixer-upper? I heard the best realtor in Houston was handling this listing," Brian said, leaning against the doorframe. "I also heard she might be available for a steak dinner and some conversation about the last 30 years. Reba felt a flutter in her chest, a sensation she hadn't felt since before the Jablonski House war. It was exciting, it was dangerous, and it was exactly the kind of complication she didn't need. Chapter 19. The Brock Intervention. News of the gentleman visitor traveled through the Hart family like a wildfire through dry brush. Within an hour, Van had dispatched the drone to patrol the Victorian house, and Brock Hart had arrived at Reba's front door, looking hilariously insecure. "Reba, I hear you're dating a developer," Brock shouted, his golf club still in his hand. "Is it because he has more land than me? Is it the Austin zip code?" "Brock, go home. You're married to a weather vlogger," Reba said, trying to push him off the porch. "I'm concerned for your welfare, Reba. Developers are sharks. They'll pave over your heart and put a strip mall on it." Suddenly, Barbara Jean appeared from behind a bush, wearing a climate awareness sash and holding a megaphone. "Reba, my butt-rometer is tingling," Barbara Jean shouted through the megaphone. "But it's not rain, it's romance. And according to my latest survey of the local ecosystem, a new predator has entered the territory. Barbara Jean, I'm warning you. I've already analyzed his carbon footprint, Reba. He drives an electric luxury sedan. He's a sustainable choice for your golden years." Reba looked at her ex-husband, her best friend, and the drone hovering overhead. She looked at the life she had built, the chaos, the bickering, the idiots, and the love. Chapter 20. The Survivor's Choice. Reba did go to dinner with Brian McClintock. He was charming, he was wealthy, and he offered her a life of luxury in Austin. No more Jablonski houses, no more corporate wars with Steve Norris, And definitely no more fantastic dads. Come with me, Reba, Brian said, holding her hand over the candlelit table. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. It's time someone took care of you. Reba looked at him, and for a moment, she saw the girl she used to be. The girl who wanted to conquer the world. But then, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Van. Mrs. H. Help! Sarah put the drone in the dishwasher, and now the plates are singing. Also, Brock is crying in the garage. Plels come home. A small, genuine smile touched Reba's lips. She pulled her hand away from Brian's. Brian, you're a wonderful man, Reba said, and 30 years ago I would have followed you to the moon. But my world isn't in Austin. My world is in a house on Vesper Avenue where the dishwasher is singing and the idiots are running the asylum. She stood up, grabbed her purse, and straightened her jacket. I don't need anyone to take care of me, Brian. I'm a single mom who works too hard. I'm a survivor, and I've got a Montgomery minute to film. She walked out of the restaurant and into the warm Houston night. As she drove home, she saw the sunset, golden, heavy, and beautiful. She knew that when she walked through that door, someone would be screaming, someone would be bickering, and Barbara Jean would probably be wearing a new costume. And as she pulled into the driveway, Reba Hart knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. Chapter 21. High School Hysteria. Jake Hart stood in front of the hallway mirror, struggling with a necktie that seemed determined to choke him. Today was the first day of high school, a rite of passage that Reba viewed with equal parts pride and impending dread. Mom, do I look like a freshman or a target? Jake asked, his voice cracking slightly. You look like a young man who is about to realize that the next 4 years are just middle school with taller bullies and harder math, Reba said, patting his shoulder. Just remember, don't walk too fast, don't walk too slow, and for heaven's sake, don't tell anyone. Van is your brother-in-law. Van bounded into the room, holding a clipboard and wearing a whistle around his neck. Freshman orientation protocol initiated. Jake, I've mapped out the shortest route to the cafeteria that avoids the varsity wrestling team's locker room. It involves crawling through the ventilation ducts, but it's worth it for the tactical advantage. Van, he is not joining Mission Impossible. He's joining the 9th grade. Cheyenne sighed, holding a squirming Sarah. The transition to high school brought a new set of challenges. But as a freshman on the junior varsity team, he was back at the bottom of the food chain. I'm the water boy, Mom, Jake complained a week later, and I tripped over the cooler and soaked the coach. I'm pretty sure I have spina colada of the social life. Give it time, Jakey, Reba said. You're a heart. We don't win on the first try. We win by outlasting the people who think they already won. Chapter 22. The Rock Star in the Kitchen. While Jake was navigating the social minefield of high school, Kira was on the verge of a breakthrough that the family was completely unprepared for. Her band, the Snarky Hearts, a name Reba found dangerously accurate, had been playing local clubs for months. One Tuesday evening, a man in a very expensive leather jacket and very tight jeans sat in their living room. Mrs. Hart, I'm Marcus Thorne from Neon Pulse Records, the man said, sipping the lukewarm tea Reba had provided. Kira has a voice that sounds like a velvet chainsaw. We want to sign her. The house erupted. Van immediately started trying to calculate digital royalties on his fingers. Barbara Jean appeared with a tambourine, convinced that she could be the band's atmospheric consultant. Wait a minute, Reba said, looking Marcus Thorne dead in the eye. A velvet chainsaw? Is that a compliment? Or do I need to call a repairman? It's a compliment, Mom, Kira groaned, her face buried in her hands. It means I'm edgy. The reality of a record deal meant tour buses, late-night recording sessions, and a sudden influx of strange people in the kitchen. Reba found herself acting as a bodyguard for her daughter, vetting every contract and every velvet compliment Marcus Thorne threw around. Listen, Velvet Man, Reba told Marcus in the hallway. If my daughter isn't home by midnight on school nights, oh wait, she's graduated. If she isn't home by breakfast, I'm sending Van over with his drone to find you. And trust me, you don't want to be found by a man who thinks he's Jack Bauer. Chapter 23. The Campaign Trail. Just when Reba thought the house couldn't get any more crowded with egos, Barbara Jean decided she had a new calling.